Black magic. You got to know, got to show.
All right.
Charles, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for joining the show.
Oh, I'm happy to. I'm using one of my filmmaking techniques of shining flashlights where it ain't lit.
I like that.
That's a little better. That's a little better. Yeah.
Very Hitchcockian.
There you go. I'll take it.
Nice. So how's everything today? All right.
Good. Nice. Saturday in Los Angeles.
Which
still
is
cool
always
here.
Better than a Saturday in Niagara.
Is that right? All right. If you say so.
Yeah. Well, we do have the casino, so that's always
really?
a small blessing. We got our small blessings.
I don't think they had casinos back when I was there in a long time ago, so that would make sense.
Well, you definitely have to come back.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah, we've got two really big casinos down here. We host one of the biggest conventions in the world for comic books and pop culture down here now. Yeah, we're getting big.
Wow,
for our little neck of the woods.
Good.
I think it would just be a borough in Beverly Hills, but
right.
So thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah.
For those of everyone just tuning in right now, this is writer-director Mr. Charles Pinion. You kind of generalize in, or you specialize in the pop or the pulp horror type of movies there.
I'll take that.
How would you describe it?
I like the term, if I were to use a label, I like the term psychotronic, which Michael Weldon's Psychotronic Encyclopedia of Film sort of encompasses a lot of that. Jim Morton's book, Incredibly Strange Films, that Research put out, is also, I would say, hugely influential as I was exposing myself to these films. He did a lot to get me there, the Jim Morton book and Michael Weldon's book. So
amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so you started off as a lot of people in Hollywood, especially a lot of writers and directors and producers like yourself. You do a little bit of acting as well. How did you get into this kind of field yourself? Like, how did you get into the writing and directing side? Or was that always the way you wanted it to be?
I actually, in high school I was an actor, but always in my mind I was going to go to art school. So eventually I went to art school and was a painter and a printmaker. And that's kind of what, I guess I still ultimately think that's what I am. Then I briefly studied writing with some cool writers up in Syracuse, and then eventually was in a band in Gainesville, Florida, several bands actually, and at some point during that period in Gainesville, Florida, I got an early RCA camcorder.
Right.
That because the music scene was this amazing punk scene in the mid to late 80s in Gainesville, but no one was recording it. So you'd have this incredible show, and then with the sounds of the last chords ringing in your ear, I'd look around this room, it'd be a house party or something, but amazing show, and realize no one's recorded it. I mean, this is it. So it became a mission.
This is back before the cell phones with the video games.
Yes, it was, you made a kind of a presentation of yourself at this big thing. And so I just started documenting bands in Gainesville that I liked. And that was sort of the beginning of this notion of, I could tell a story with this. But back then, it was really all about film. Like now with digital video, everybody's, we can make movies with iPhones and stuff. But back then, there was a real prejudice in film festivals and so on if it's serious, it needs to be film, not video. And so I guess my sort of pugnacious punk rock sensibility was, fuck you, I'm going to make a movie. So I made this slasher film, skateboard zombie film called Twisted Issues that encompassed a lot of the band stuff, because it was both sort of a band documentary, a splatter film, and a skateboard film, and a lot of music. So there, So that was where.
So you were.
That was the journey anyway. Yeah, exactly. That was my origin story. Was making, Although as a kid, I was the family photographer of Super 8. You know, there's a whole period of my family's history where it's as though I don't exist because I'm behind the camera the whole time.
Right.
So anyway,
how's that when you look back on that? When you're looking back on these family videos and stuff, and you're seeing everybody but yourself in that, it's going to be a little bit bittersweet.
You know, well, it's funny because then the few times you do see me, I'm just going, well, move the camera around. I'm trying to tell them, you know, and
right. So the seeds of directorialness, those seeds of being a director were there very early.
Yes.
Nice. Well, that's amazing. Got a couple questions here.
Okay.
Bruno Batista, who's he's a big musician himself here in the Niagara region. Says cool stuff. Thanks.
Yep. Cool.
And David K. Austin wants to know what happened to the third submit to me you did with R. Kern. I think that's off.
Topic. It was well, I was in a couple of Richard Kern things, and as far as I know, it's a yet to be edited piece of Richard Kern classic,
which seems to be the way a lot in Hollywood.
Yes.
There's a lot of waiting to be edited stuff out there.
You know, there's more footage than there is product. That's for sure.
For sure. Now, let's talk a little bit. You guys started off, obviously, I'm going to run down here. We got Twisted Issue was kind of like your big debut.
Right.
Back in '88. Then you had Red Spirit Lake, We Await, and then that led us into American Mummy.
Right.
Obviously, every director has a natural evolution or progression as they progress through their movies. Was there one that was very noticeable for you? Are you where you want to be at this point? Or, you know, like what I mean when it comes to as a
Why are you asking me that?
I'm hitting you hard with the Boston Walters today.
My dog heard me yell. He thinks something's up. You know, I mean, I think the art making is you're always doing your best, right. And then at some point you do have to kind of leave whatever piece it is behind. But for me, the analogy is, I don't have any children, but the analogy for me is that each piece is a child, and is made up of the DNA and energies of all the people who helped make the thing.
Right.
But as director, sort of like, I guess I'm the dad or whatever. So I want the best for all my kids, you know, and so and I love them all. Even the halt and the lame, you know, I some are satisfy me more than others. So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I feel like I'm being evasive, but I'm happy to answer your question if you just.
No. I get that.
Okay.
It's because I guess it's not an easy question to answer, you know, especially in this field, because you have to feel that you're constantly evolving, you're constantly growing from movie to movie.
Right.
I would assume it's something that you never feel, you'll never get that sense of accomplishment. I'm sure even, you know, Stephen King and, you know, Zack Snyder still have days where, you know, they don't feel accomplished quite yet. So you're always looking for that next high.
Right. Yeah, you know, and in working independently, I guess the difference between me and some of those guys is, you know, they are living off their art, and it's a tougher road to hoe as an independent artist. So, you know, like that's just the reality. So we have other jobs and stuff like that, and but I guess, you know, there's less of a sense of having to please others. There's that little trade-off that you make being independent. And
you make it for yourselves.
Yes.
Yes. More sense of accomplishment without having those outside hands, you know,
although
kind of dictating what you have to do.
True. I mean, it is nice then to get feedback and positive. Like I'm still kind of perplexed and amazed that my movie American Mummy is in Walmart. I mean, that just kind of
right.
I'm not used to making movies that I don't send out by hand to people who order it from me by hand. So that's
right, because you and I've talked about this before. Because you have your own internet site where people can go and purchase your old movies, and they're VHS copies that you have here.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They were originally VHS. Right. There's there's some interest in, you know, VHS as a whole thing. Right now, there's a guy who's put out 2 of my 3 earlier movies, Video Pharmacy, a guy named Don Abendroth, who does these beautiful little packages. So he's done my first 2 movies, and he's doing the 3rd one as VHS with a cassette soundtrack. And, you know, back in the day when I did Twisted Issues, I sent it out in a Ziploc bag with VHS tape, a cassette soundtrack, and a booklet of my drawings and stuff and lyrics and stuff like that. And so that was always kind of a way to make it more than just the movie or whatever. So I really like that. I love the whole idea of packaging and making things. And I mean, my DVDs, I still hand cut and fold and sign and print. And I like that process as a printmaker. I like the idea of like limited editions, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So
well, we as you know, we run a geek page here, and that's one of the things I try to tell to a lot of my friends too. You know, when it comes to, you know, for making things more special, they always ask me, well, you know, there's this new issue that just came out, and I made sure I bought 3 copies of it. And I'm like, you know what? You're never going to make any money off of that.
Right.
You're never going to be worth anything more than what it is to you, because there's 1,000,001 copies of it. It's not like in the '60s when there was only, you know, they'd print 100 copies or so of it. You know, where it's limited. And you've got that with your movies as well. And when you're sending it out, distributing the way that you are, they are becoming, you know, they're more limited and they're worth more to fans out there, especially with this genre though, because this is a genre that does have its cult following. Yeah.
Well, and you know, I mean, also I can find most of my movies. It seems I can find them on torrent sites too if I really wanted to, you know. But but if you get it from me, it has a little card and it has a this and that and artwork, and I send it with lots of artwork.
The torrent sites are a bit of a killer for indie movies. For big budget movies, you know, it's not a big deal, but for someone like yourself, that's the difference between, you know, 1,000 viewers, you know, in a theater as opposed to someone watching on, like you said, a torrent sites, you know.
Right. But this is the reality. Well, you know, when I made Twisted Issues, I actually encouraged people to copy it. I mean, this is back in the day, simply because I wanted it to get around. You know? Right. I mean, they still weren't going to get the Ziploc bag with the, you know, so that's the thing that makes a print or a limited thing or an artwork more interesting than just, and also, you know, if you actually order it from me, you're getting some of my DNA on it or whatever. Right. You know. Don't make any zombies from it, but
no Charles Pinion clones.
Yeah. No, please.
Awesome. Well, we talked a little bit about that. Let's talk about American Mummy. Can you give our fans that are all tuning in right now, give them a little bit of a background into the movie, because it's not your typical mummy movie, and I like the take you took on this.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you know, it started as just the title. My partner, who plays the Russian doctor in the movie, he came to me with the idea American Mummy, just the name. Right. So initially we were thinking, I mean, we never thought of it as an Egyptian mummy. We always knew that, okay, American, you know, and also I was kind of surprised no one's used this yet, you know, because I think American Zombie had just come out and there's American this and that. And, sure, let's do something, you know. So, but my first thought was it would be like a Native American, this sort of like, in my mind, an interstellar virus that invaded this village in the 1800s or whatever. So it's kind of a Western, but eventually they bury the final host of this interstellar virus, bury it, and it gets unearthed in the modern day. And that would have been the story, a sort of maybe Cronenbergian story of zombie virus, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's almost like an outbreak.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of, I liked the name. I thought it'd be a neat movie, and but my partner was more insistent on it being no, let's make it, you know, grounded in history. So he, first of all, he said, well, American, what does that mean? You know, there's a North and there's a South America, and he's actually Russian. I mean, he's Russian American. He's actually Russian Canadian, and so you know, he. So what I'm saying is he doesn't necessarily. like America, we say America, but we're kind of being dicks about it, because actually South America is also America, if you want to look at it that way. That's a whole nother thing. But the point is, we decided to enlarge the scope of what it meant to be American. And so he did some research and found this Aztec god, Tezcatlipoca, Lord of the Smoking Mirror, who's this kind of, terrifying deity. And so he really brought all the history and all the research and stuff to it.
Right.
Me, I would have cheated. Whatever, just to tell the story in a more interesting way, maybe, or research isn't really my bag, and he really. So I'm really grateful, because then it premiered in Mexico City, and if anyone is going to pay attention to getting the details right, and and it went over well there. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really grateful that we not only chose this particular, and it was never a mummy, because they have mummy. They don't mummify their gods, because their gods don't really exist, right? But so the whole premise of this is that their god did exist in physical form. They mummified him way off in what is now New Mexico, and that's the story. This college dig comes up with this buried god,
and they release it onto the world, or at least onto themselves.
Yes. And it's the first chapter, so it's like, it's a rather contained outbreak and a contained story, but it has a larger scope in the future.
Nice. So are we talking? We're going to see more American Mummy sequels, or some kind of from this?
We hope so. I mean, we have a very we know where it goes. I mean, I'll tell you this much: it goes back to Mexico City and Templo Mejor, his original temple, and he wants to. In our movie, he doesn't move much. Moves a little bit, doesn't move much, but the effect of blood on him makes him more alive. So with lots and lots of blood, which will be an entertaining part of the movie, he becomes more embodied until he becomes more of a, I don't know if he's going to look like a handsome soap opera star or what, but he's going to be in his body wanting to run things back in Mexico City again, or Mexico again. He wants his kingdom back. That's his thing.
And there's definitely a lot of blood in American Mummy. I can only imagine any sequels that come from it are going to be probably twice as much blood.
Yes.
Now, being a visual guy yourself, you're an artist, as you said before, getting into directing and stuff. How much of a hand is that? Obviously, it's a big part of your visual telling, but how much of your art reflects, or should I say, your movies reflect the art that you used to paint, or you still paint? I'm sure.
I still do drawings, and I mean, sort of all kinds of stuff, actually. And I've just recently, and by recently I mean the last 5 years or so, gotten into digital art, which is very different than drawing with a pen.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I think it might be someone else would have to figure that out, because they're definitely different media.
Oh, for sure.
And because the world that my drawings tends to create would be really hard to pull off on film, I think, because they're just not they're not as well. They're narrative. There's sort of a figure in them usually, but they're more like surfaces, and they're trippy. They're there's not like a story you follow in them necessarily.
Right. Do you kind of enjoy that though, when you don't have that narrative or that sense of direction?
Drawing is like a release for me, because there is the only narrative is sort of whatever images that may or may not be telling a story, and sometimes for me it's like I've looked at art that I did years ago and go, oh, I know exactly what you were going through there. But the person drawing it didn't know what he was going through there.
Exactly.
But the art kind of reveals it after the fact.
Nice. I never thought of it that way. So we had another comment here from Cy Berry. It says, excellent twist going with the Mexican Mummy.
Thank you, Cy.
I agree. And I think it's a great idea on the part of your partner too, like you said, though, adding that extra bit of research into it, because it does add a legitimacy to it, especially if you're premiering in somewhere like Mexico City.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about the release and how people can get to watch your movie, and not only American Mummy, but how they can watch your other movies that you have.
Okay. Well, my other movies you can get from my website, charlespinion.com, and gosh, you'd get a handmade, hand-folded, some drawings and all that kind of stuff. Signature.
Perfect. The art we were talking about.
That's easy. That's easy. And the other one's easy too. If you live anywhere near a Walmart, I'm told they're there. And the Walmart version, and you can also get them on Amazon and stuff. The Walmart version is actually a cool version in that it's a Blu-ray, 3D and 2D. We didn't even talk about this, but we shot it in 3D. Oh, yeah? The Blu-ray that's 3D and 2D, and then a 2D DVD, and it's just a nice package, and it comes in a slipcase, and it's kind of groovy. Otherwise, Amazon, it's either a DVD or a Blu-ray.
Nice.
And yeah.
So there you go. Everybody lives near a Walmart.
There you go.
Even my little secluded city that we live in, there's a Walmart not too far from us either. So best bet.
And it's also streaming. It's also streaming on Amazon and
nice.
Maybe elsewhere. Yeah.
I think YouTube actually. I was looking at.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's available on YouTube as well, so people can rent it there as well. Lots of places to go and check this out. So what do you have coming up next, Charles?
There's a horror, sort of camping horror, at least some of it, part of it's camping, called Dark Canyon, that have been hashing out. It's a sort of a serial killer thing, and looking at some scripts, as they say, and helping my friend John Skip get one of his projects off the ground via an Indiegogo campaign, and and I have this long back burner project, Thousand Eyes, which is sort of it has been called a sort of Shakespearean gangster movie.
Wow.
And if that ever gets made, that'll be great. But it is this independent world. So, I substitute teach, I do some background work, and a little this and a little that.
Nice. And to keep busy.
Yeah. I'm definitely busy. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Well, and when you finally come back to the Niagara region,
okay.
If you're coming to film a movie, come let us know, and we'll
I will
definitely come and help you out.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
That'd be amazing. All right. Well, I want to just thank you so much for taking the time out today, Charles, for coming and being on the show. It's been so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure, and we can do it anytime you like.
Okay.
Like I said, next time we'll try to do it once I'm doing my actual show, so we can get the live audience in there.
There you go. My jokes will land better with a live audience. Yeah.
No, I'm your one-man laugh track. You're okay.
Oh, excellent.
Awesome. So again, everybody, that is Charles Pinion, writer, director of American Mummy. Go check it out. You can rent it on Amazon. You can rent it on YouTube. Go to your local Walmart, find it there, or go to charlespinion.com, and then you get the nice little packaging there. You get his art, you get his thank yous and everything, and best way to do it, I think. So
cool.
Again, thanks so much for being on the show, Charles.
Okay, thank you.
And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys all next time.
All righty.
Bye.
Black magic. You got to know, got to show. It's time to roll. So just tell me what you